Hey everyone, it's Mystery coming to you from your textbook today, which is rather odd. And instead of having you guys read the work from the book, I'm going to read it to you today just to go through some vocabulary and make sure you guys are understanding what the words mean. And then I'll give a video with some examples on my chalkboard here in a little bit. So we're going to look at data sets today, and we're going to talk about data distribution. So we can describe a data distribution or how data values are arranged by looking at its overall shape, its center, and the least and greatest values. How can you describe this data distribution showing the number of calories in different fast food burgers? So here's the words that we're going to kind of use today: spread to the right or spread to the left. And another word for that is skewed. I'll go over that in a little bit. The least, the greatest, the center, the overall shape. Is it symmetric or not symmetric, which means the same on both sides? And are there groupings? Like, is there a large amount of dots in certain areas? And gaps would basically be just what the word sounds like, where there's an opening between points. You could see a gap right here, and you can see more gaps right here. Here would be the groupings. Now, back at the top where it said spread out to the right, basically that means like skew to the right. It's like going down a hill. So whatever direction the hill is going down is where it's spread to. A dot for a large 2,000 calorie burger is added to the data. That would be like a triple whopper. The difference in this data distribution can be described as spread out more to the right, and the greatest value, 2,000, is called an outlier or an extreme value with few data points located near it. It's something that doesn't belong. So if I ask the question, how many times a summer do you go to Cedar Point? And somebody says 2, somebody else says 3, 2, 1, 0, 4, and then some kid says 35, we would call that an outlier. So if you look in your book here, there's a few more examples where you can use some of this terminology. And the first one, it is Old Faithful Geyser in Yellowstone, and it said, where are the groupings of data at? And if you look at this, it looks like there's some groupings right in here where it's a cluster or group. And then also you see some groupings right here. Okay. Where do you think the center of the data would be? The center of the data is probably going to be somewhere in this area between 3.5 and 4, and that's more like the median. We'll get to that in a couple lessons. Is there an outlier in the data set? There really is not. There's nothing that's way out there that doesn't belong. The range here is relatively small. Is the shape of the data symmetric or spread to one side? If you look at this data set, it looks like it's really hard to tell this, but there's more data on the right, and that means that we're sort of spreading it out to the left. I'll make mine more obvious that I'm giving you for a grade when it comes to that. What is the least value of the data? What is the greatest? So the lowest would be somewhere around 1 7/10, and then the largest would be somewhere around, I'm guessing, like 5 2/10. And you can continually look at the shapes down here. What for this graph for temperatures in May? What is the lowest temperature? The lowest temperature would be 70. What is the highest temperature? The highest temperature would be 78 degrees. Where would the center fall? And this is an estimation, but I'm guessing it'd be somewhere in here between 72 and 73, one of those X's. And are there any outliers for this? Again, I would say no outliers because the range is relatively small. If we maybe would have been up here at like 88, 90 degrees, we could have called that an outlier. So these are the words that we're going to use. I'm going to give you a video on my chalkboard here in a little bit. I hope this was helpful, and you guys are doing a great job. We just got to keep it up. Right now, we've had no grades. So I've had a few people ask about, is this due? When is it graded? Each day, whatever I give you is due that day as of now. And so far, we've had no grades. Your first grade will be tomorrow. So I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you in a video in a few minutes.